Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be a welcome for the next hour, guys. Roseanne's back. So I don't know if Jake, your son, who's the co-host of your awesome podcast, told you. I have a friend named Antoine Vaillant. He's a professional bodybuilder. When I'm at the gym, sometimes if I'm not motivated, like I imagine him there and him like encouraging me, right? I do that with you with
Really?
my day-to-day life. Like sometimes if I'm like feeling like whatever, like I imagine Roseanne and I told this to Jake and he's like, "Oh, so she's like your imaginary friend?" But you kind of are. And the advice always is, "Well, everyone's stupid, so just listen to me."
That is my advice for everything.
But the thing is, you don't suffer fools gladly, to put it mildly. This is your reputation. So to have your friendship is so validating and it means like a lot to me. So are you aware at this point of what effect you have on people? Like, do you realize that when you talk to people, they're like, "Holy crap, Roseanne Barr is talking to me," and it's like almost like otherworldly?
I don't know how I affect other people, obviously, because I think I have some sort of I do have some sort of autistic thing, or I don't pick up social cues, and I never did even before. When I was a child, I have some sort of I'm on the spectrum. So I don't pick up social cues or know how I affect people. I don't know what I'm doing half the time with all my mental quirks. So I don't really know how I affect people at all, but they'll tell me things and I'll be really blown away. Like last night, some guy says, "Oh, I grew up on watching your show." And, I go, "Fuck, you're old. What do you mean?" The guy's so old, it blew my mind. I'm like, "What do you mean you grew up on my show? How the fuck old are you, buddy?" He's like, I'm 50, he's 48 or something like that, I can't remember. But I'm like, Jesus, I'm old. God. The kid was a kid. The old man was a child when he saw my show. Wow, that's something else.
Do you know what everyone says when I mention that I know you? Everyone. You know what the one thing they all say? It's like I'd say literally like 95% of the time they say the exact same thing. "I
What?
love her."
Oh.
Like they all say that. Like it is what's so I as an author, like whenever I encounter a character, I try to figure out what makes them tick. And lady, I spent a lot of time trying to get inside your head, and it's an uphill struggle. Because
I
I'll
know.
tell you, I told you this at the mothership. I'm like, I don't understand how you're a 10 out of 10 in terms of charisma and a 10 out of 10 in terms of obnoxiousness. And you go, "Yeah, I guess I'm pretty unique." But it's true. It doesn't make sense, right?
I don't even get it at all. I really don't. I don't know, but I just get a feeling inside where it clicks, and I see people are smiling at me,
Yeah.
and that's when I know, okay, you're doing the right thing. When they're frowning at me or coming at me with pitchforks, I'm like, hey, I must have did something wrong. So I try to keep it in the smiling thing, but I always go too far. I mean, my dad always went too far, and that was a bad, uh, what do you call it? Blueprint for me. Seeing my dad always take it too far. And I always take it too far. I try real hard to not go too far. But last night, I was at Mar-a-Lago going too far again. And thank God for the wonderful people there who just came over and say, "Ma'am, do you have a seat?" And I and my son said, "Yes, we do." And they go, "Well, will you please take it?" And I said, I'm trying to dance. They're playing music, because I saw the president, which of course I love him. So I was brought over to him. I was allowed to approach, and he's being the DJ there at the party for Carrie Lake. So he's playing songs, and he says, "Well, what song would you most like to hear?" And I said, "Well, I like it when you play that 'Hold On, I'm Coming' song." Remember, because he always
Yeah.
plays, that's the one he's always dancing to. And I said, I definitely enjoy your hot dance moves, and I'd like to show you what I've learned from you with my dance moves on that song, right? So, I mean, okay, I had a few drinks of wine, a few Chardonnays there. Not too many because, Jake is on me like a fucking hawk.
As
Mom,
well he
you've
should
had
be.
enough, huh?
As well he should be.
I know, I love him. So, anyway, they start playing, I start dancing. Right away, they're on me. Ma'am, do you have a seat? So, I wasn't even allowed to showcase my dance moves for
You
POTUS.
know, you could have gotten Rosie O'Donnell arrested. You could have been like, "Don't you know who I am? I'm Rosie O'Donnell."
Oh, I didn't think it. Well, she doesn't go blonde, though.
There's something so I wanna talk to you about this book because I just finished it. I know Jake talked to you about your book, Roseanne. You have a lot
I
to talk
know,
about.
and I was, shocked that, uh, you got it, and, because people they did I'm appreciative that you appreciated it. Thank
Well,
you. You're
I
so
want
smart.
that
You're
well,
smarter than most people.
that's not saying much.
That's true.
One thing I want to ask you about is Margaret Thatcher, who's on the book cover over there. I'm shocked that in recent years she's been reevaluated by leftists. I mean, they think she's like the worst thing ever. But in like the movie, the show The Crown, where Gillian Anderson plays her, and Meryl Streep, your former co-star, excuse me, played her in The Iron Lady. There's this increasing understanding that wait a minute, this lady beat the men at their own game in their house. She wasn't there as like some kind of feminist, like blah blah women. She played the man's game and she crushed it. She was the longest serving prime minister of 20th century in Britain, and now even lefties like, wait a minute, this must have been very isolating for her and hard for her being like very alone. So I wanted to ask you, when you were coming up as a stand-up, right? Even though you weren't like some kind of young diva, felt like you know what I mean, like you're this kind of chubby loudmouth. But was it lonely? Were you accepted? How did that work?
Well, first of all, I have to say, yeah, they're trying to rehabilitate Bush W too.
Oh God.
Dude, the leftists love Bush. Oh, Michelle Obama and him are, she says, partners in crime, and they certainly are.
Yeah.
But the leftists, they just love fascists. They love fascism these days, especially. Margaret Thatcher, they love her because everybody around her was a pedophile. So of course she beat the men at their own game by being a man, because all that shit's just about the big, hard, erect phallus. That's all they worship. Now on to me being a comedian.
you're, you're, s- you don't even realize how funny you are because you know what it must be since you were a kid. You're just running your mouth, everyone's laughing, and you're like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna go with this.
No, I try to make them laugh, but here's what I see. My sister and me, I always did it. And my sister was like, they just look at you like fucking stunned oxen. They don't even know what you're saying. They don't even know if you're talking English. It's like because I am a woman, uh, and I don't service pedophiles, which that's what Hollywood women do. But anyway, or protect them and be their publicists and hide
Yeah.
their shit. I don't do that. So, as a comedian woman, uh, no, they hated my guts. They tried to, trump me out from day one. They was always
Wow.
trumping on me, and they still do. They still do. They think they got me this time, though. They
Wait.
think this time they really got me because they stole my work, and they didn't like my work ever, and they made me fight for every inch I got. Now they just deny it and stole it. So but like I'm a Jew like you, Michael, and they always think they got us just till the end. But
I mean,
anyway,
one of my biggest accomplishments of last year was getting you back on Twitter because not only did I
thank
think this was
you.
well, not I didn't even do it to be nice and because I want to hear you on Twitter. It's because in a war, they thought they had your scalp, like, and that was a big voice, right? So to bring her from being a prisoner and having her say like kind of this escape mission, a rescue mission, that's like a big blow because when you start retreating ground that you've gained, that is psychologically very difficult to handle. So when they take those L's and when their wins get reversed, I think that's a very useful thing. But I'm just to your point about when you were like starting out, like backstage of the clubs, like did people just not look at you? Was there this kind of sneering? Like how did that manifest and how did that make you feel?
Um, It made me feel like being a fat, dark Jewish girl in Salt Lake City, Utah,
Okay, like when you were a
and it
kid.
was always like that,
Okay,
well, you're not the right religion, you're not the right body shape, for sure. You're
right.
not you're not, you're not the right look, and you don't think right, you don't say the right things, you don't sound right, look right, think right, do anything right, you don't eat right. You're not like us. You're a stranger in a strange land, and I always was. And of course, I thank God for it, because had I not been groomed and born to be a stranger in a strange land, I wouldn't have um, the strength of soul that I know I have and that I depend on to get me through this crazy shit, and to have the fire in the belly as I do to speak truth to power every minute of my waking life. And I do have it, and they won't take it away from me. And you know, I I'm I'm very I'm very, on one hand, humbled by it, because I was given a gift of that, wanting to be able to, craving to put words together that create a new kind of meaning, or that, as they say about poetry, the poet reinvents reality. The poet reinvents perception by using words, like, do not go gentle into that good night.
Yeah,
It makes you, like, it reconfigures your perceptions, and like makes you really hear words deeply, which of course, when you hear deeply, that stimulates everything inside you that makes you think. And we're thinking beings, although people want us to forget that. But when you can exercise the form of thought, it's just living your best life, and it's very exciting. When I get in touch with that, and I can bring it down, and I guess I always had it because I didn't have any friends, and because of being odd, and because also I was more than odd, I was mentally ill. I was, as a kid, mentally ill, and always had been. But I just sat in front of the mirror and have discussions with myself, and I would read to myself in the mirror too, out of great books. I was my own imaginary friend.
yeah,
My other imaginary friend was God, because I came from an Orthodox Jewish family, and um, they always discussed Torah, and I loved it because I saw it that it was the words of God, because that's what they told me, and I believed them, and I still do. I believed it so deeply when I was a kid, and I loved it. And of course, I wanted to hear what did God have to say about things, not what Joe Schmo had to say.
right.
What I care what he said, and so that's what led me to write the book Roseanarchy, and also because I was seeing my grandkids was all up in the ass of that Harry Potter horse shit, and I was
Right.
like, they're going to need some serious deprogramming from that witchcraft, and that's why I wrote the book.
So,
But
so
that's all like a humble jumble mumble fumble of words, and words convey thoughts, right? So I have a million of them, and I like to bring lofty thoughts down to the street level, and I think that's what I did in that book, and that's what I did on my show, and that's what turns me on, is shoving it up their ass, because they're no good, and they
you know,
shouldn't be in power, and they shouldn't be leading, because they're nothing but criminals.
I sometimes I think I feel very protective of you, which is kind of weird because you're kind of a force of nature. But I feel like it's important when people who have like paved the way for you get to be treated nice and get treated with accolades and respect. And I was like, I had this joke I told you in my head, and I'll tell it to you in person now, where it's like, I have you on a pedestal, and it's really, it took 3 cranes to get you up there. So it's important. But
That's a
it all,
6. That's a 6. It's not that great of a funny joke, but it is a
but you
6.
still laugh. You still laugh.
I have to.
But I was just thinking about
Thank
your
you, though.
show and how evil I mean, I'm not trying to harp on this, but, like, sometimes I'll get, like, new revelations. It's like, you got a lot of heat because when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were against gay marriage, you were talking about LGBT issues on Roseanne. You got a lot of heat for it. Uh,
My show had the first gay wedding, where
okay.
or Martin Mull and oh my God, everyone's gonna hate me. I can't. Fred Willard
Yeah.
got married and had a gay wedding on the show, and Martin Mull has to kiss me in the bathroom to make sure he's gay. It was the funniest scene. So he's like, maybe I shouldn't get married. Maybe I'm not even gay. And then he grabs me and kisses me and goes, "Yep, I'm gay."
But I was just thinking about in
But
the
yeah, I did that because those guys were skirting the issue and being cowards, as they always are. Everyone in politics is nothing but a coward who sits there and reads polls every day. Of course, I don't put Trump in that because he's not a politician, but he's actually had jobs and created wealth in the world, so he's
But
not
I
like
was
them.
just thinking that specifically in terms of, like, Sarah Gilbert, who's a lesbian, who kinda was instrumental in, like, taking that show for you. I'm not trying to relitigate past
No,
trauma, but it's
she
like
did. She took me down for LGBTQ, and they had been on me for quite a while. And I don't know if I ever told you that, but it was about
no.
when I came back to TV. The first thing they asked me to do with the publicist, that Sarah and Tom Warner being the good, I call it LGBTQCIABS folk that they are, um, Democrat operatives is basically Democrat donors and their ilk, which includes Ed Buck and those people. But they they asked me to, before they would even consider being the publicist for my show, and I can't remember her name, but she's a lesbian, as most publicists in Hollywood are, or gay. But they wanted me to apologize to the GLBTQCIABS plus community
For
for
what?
taking the part of young girl children in a sauna with a person with a penis. And that was called the Colleen Francis fracas. And I took the side of the children, who were little
Of
girls,
course.
some as age 7,
Oh
and
my god.
their parents complained to the university, who had allowed the kids to come in and play on their soccer field, okayed it for that day. And then when they went in to take their sauna, there was the person with the penis refusing to cover the penis in front of the little children, who had been taught all their lives, if you see someone
Of
waving their
course.
penis at you, you come and tell somebody. They're not allowed to do that or to touch you. Okay, so all of a sudden in that one day, all those laws were on a flip, right? Because the
Oh my god.
university took the person with the penis size, with the penis side against the children. And I found that, as a person who has been a child rights advocate and against child sex slavery and abuse
And
for,
a mom and a grandma.
yeah, but I've been active in
Yeah.
Hollywood against child sexual abuse for a long time, and they haven't liked that. But anyway, when I took that, the entire community attacked me, and I kept all their tweets. This is when I first had. There was over 250,000 tweets calling me everything from, all the words that they say we can't call women.
Right,
The
right.
C word, the B word, everything that they tell people that's hate speech. Well, they're okay to use it on me. And then, of course, it always ends with Zionist baby killer, because they're all tied up. They're the same people, all of them. And I realized that, as I was reading their response to me, so I kept them because I wanted people to see, are these guys all getting paid to just get on and say hate speech to Jewish people or to old women who are rape activists? And I do believe they were. And I believe that was part of the cudgel they used against women's rights. Because when we ever heard about women's rights anymore, and anything about rape activism, that's all gone, as is the whole thing of transvestites. Remember them? That's
Yes.
all gone. You know, they
But can I
they
interrupt
used
because
women
there's
like Margaret Thatcher to help overrule every law in the UN and international law that had to do with women and children's rights. They're on the march, and they're not going to stop.
well,
So
it's
I said, no, I certainly will not apologize.
my
So
god.
I had to go, therefore, down the gauntlet of hate, of liberal hate at ABC. A lot of it was BLM people, and I can see them. I know. I've been active for a long time in civil rights in Hollywood, so I know who's who. I know who doesn't like Jews, and nobody who likes Jews is involved in BLM. So I know how it goes because I was there. And all that shit they get out and spout, the left, I used to be a leftist. I probably wrote most of the shit they spout 25 years ago, and they're still spouting it because they never update their files.
Right.
But it's just disgusting to me. And now their rife anti Semitism has got me with a fire up my ass. And they're not gonna get away with it as long as I draw a breath. I'll tell you that much.
Folks, sperm counts are dropping worldwide, and today the average man is only half as fertile as his grandfather was. 1 in 10 men have a low sperm count, which means 1 in 6 couples experience infertility, and half of those cases are attributable to sperm. TRT, testosterone therapy, can actually lower or stop sperm production. It can reduce a man's sperm count to zero within 6 weeks, which means it's a good idea for men to test their sperm to see where they stand and to freeze their sperm at its youngest and healthiest, even if you don't want to have kids in the near future. That's where Legacy comes in. Legacy provides sperm testing and freezing from home, which eliminates the need for visits to a doctor or a traditional fertility clinic. Here's how it works. They send you a sample collection kit to your house. You produce a sample at home and send the kit back within 24 hours. And the kit contains transport media that keeps the sperm sample fresh until it arrives at the lab. The sample is analyzed at a lab, and sperm health results, which are 5 industry standard metrics of sperm quality, are securely sent to your phone within 48 hours of mailing the sample. And if you choose to freeze your sperm, the sample is split and securely stored in 2 locations to protect it from natural disasters. Now, Legacy has partnerships with military groups, including the SEALs, Green Berets, and Veterans Advantage. Legacy offers a variety of storage plans ranging from 1 to 25 years for the cost of a few cups of coffee a month. It's time to take your future into your own hands. Testing and freezing your youngest, healthiest sperm keeps all your future options open. And Legacy offers sperm testing and freezing. You could do it 100% from home. To see if sperm testing and freezing is right for you, visit givelegacy.com and use promo code Malice for 10% off. That's GIVELEGACY.com and promo code Malice for your health. Let's get back to the show. That leads me kind of into this book. When you were writing this book, I was writing a book, co-authoring a book, a gallery as well. I don't remember who it was. And I remember, was Trish Redder on this? I was talking to her about this, and you're not exactly an easy person to wrangle, as one can imagine. And I think the issue with this book is, if you look at the cover, I
Yeah.
would have thought this was a book about lefty. I was like, okay, she's gonna be talking about the Iraq War. Like, it's gonna be outdated. I don't care. It's not that at all. Like, this book is very autobiographical. And what I adored about this book, which has helped me out on a personal level, is like, if I had issues with like some publishers in the past, and then I hear that J.K. Rowling had the same issues and Jordan Peterson, then it's like, okay, it's not just me. If it's affecting the top of the top, then this is just a group of fuck ups, right? So when you, Roseanne, who is, like I said, a force of nature and who so many people look up to as a source of strength, when you talk about your vulnerabilities and moments where it was rough for you, I don't know if you realize this, you helped me, certainly other people, be like, oh, if it could happen to her at that level, then this is something that could happen to anyone. And it also is helpful in that, like I was saying with the imaginary friend thing, I'll ask myself, what would Roseanne do in the situation? Then I'll do the opposite. But no, in all seriousness, it's like it's useful to see that when someone as tough as you, who's been through so much, can talk about, yeah, this got to me. That is really kind of inspiring and moving.
Well, I hope it is inspiring because they need to, people need to be inspired, I think, to live their best lives
Yeah.
and to be of their highest use because that makes you feel happy. You feel depressed and dragged down when you're like, I better not say that, I better not do that. It's not life, it's not living, and there's no joy in it. So I hope that it does inspire people, but you have to feel pain to come fully awake, and that's what Rose Anarchy is about too. Is it's the anarchy inside me that helped me to come to a different conclusion than I had as a child. It was
What
anarchy that brought me there,
I
inner
I
anarchy.
I wanted to publicly now tell you something I've told you privately, which is I really want you to do another book. people don't appreciate how good of an author you are, a writer you are,
you.
and
Thank you.
you can get a book deal in 2 seconds, and the theme of the book would be you've survived so many cancellations. So there's 3, but you joke, but that's the framework, right? Because
Yeah,
that could help a lot of people, like how you are as tough as nails. And you have 3 marriages didn't work out. Roseanne, John Goodman leaves Roseanne, then Roseanne gets canceled. When Roseanne gets pulled from you, Roseanne's nuts, the reality show. You were talking you got killed by Freddy Krueger. How many people can say
that's
that?
true.
So there's so many moments where things were taken from you when your cartoon because of the national anthem, and you've talked about some of these things in the past, but listen, if people didn't like reruns, you wouldn't be getting residuals. So I really think you, especially as I know you're a very youthful person. I think what you and I share is we have this childlike sense of justice because kids have this idea of right and wrong. And then when you get older, it's just like, well, you have to compromise. Maybe you have to compromise in practice, but those principles cannot be compromised and you have to live by them because when you meet your maker, you got to look at yourself and be like, okay, I did what I could with what I had. That's at least how I try to live my life, not
Right.
always successfully. So I think you are really in a position to write that story about all these setbacks. And here you are at age 39, you know, as strong as ever. I mean, I think the framework is right there, and it would be such a good project for you. And so many, the audience is right there as well.
They were talking to me about it, and I I said, "Oh, I would love to because I love to write. I'm a writer. I love to write." But I thought, well, maybe I could do a cookbook about. I'm a really good cook, as you know.
Yes.
And well, I think I fucked up when you came over that
No,
one
you
time.
didn't. Let me
Was
tell
it
you guys,
good?
by the way, at home, to have Roseanne Barr cook for you is just like almost like a miracle. It's just so amazing. It's such a privilege, I gotta say.
Did you like it
Of
though? I
course,
don't.
I liked it.
Good. Okay, good. Um, uh, but anyways, so it just came to me the other day. Um, I'm going to write about the real story behind the Roseanne show. Why not? It's time.
But
And
there's so much other stuff there too.
everything that they put me through, how I fought
Yeah,
every day because they didn't want any fat people. Let's start with there. They didn't want a fat woman on TV. I
right.
mean, everything I fought for and how it happened, and then how they tricked me to come back and why. And I mean, just to see it real clearly now, and also to have other people who were there
Well,
go,
you could call it.
what,
I came up with a good title, "The Elephant in the Room."
four? That's a four.
No, but it's a play on words because I'm sure in a lot of these situations there was something that was unspoken.
You know what? I will need to ask you for your ear because you really helped me go into a thing because you're a great writer yourself. I have to tell you, I love your writing, and you help me to really isolate and focus into the thing, whatever the real subject is. It's hard to get to that.
Because you're a storyteller, but you tell stories as a comedian in bite-sized pieces, so it's not, I think, intuitive to your talents to craft a narrative in a longer sense. You tend to think jokes are gonna be what, 10 seconds. An episode is 20 minutes. A
Yeah.
book is like a year in comparative time, so it's not gonna be how your brain works.
Yeah, well, I had to rewrite all. I've written 3 books, and every one of them got, especially Roseanarchy, was rewritten 7 times, and
Yeah.
2 editors quit. People say I'm difficult. Well, it's difficult to be me. Okay, you're
Well, I
getting
think
off
it's also
easy. You're
I
getting easy. Just you're getting off easy having to just work with me. Try being me.
yeah.
I rewrote the son of a bitch 7 times, so they went. I can't take another minute of this.
But I think it's also if someone you're talking to, if you sense weakness or you don't really respect them, you're not gonna be listening to their feedback. You're gonna
No,
be like,
because they always attack me,
"Yeah, exactly."
right? They always go, "Oh, well, I don't see how this makes any sense." Well, because you're a fucking idiot. That's why you don't think it makes no goddamn sense. The
Wait,
hell?
can I say one more thing? This is really funny. So I
What?
was talking to Jake, your son, and I wanted to have you on earlier. And he's like, "Well, she's in Hawaii, so I don't know if she's gonna be able to figure out the computer." I go, "Jake is," because she's a boomer. I go, "Jake, isn't it funny that she can't figure out the computer, yet I'm positive that you're still the idiot in this situation."
Oh, I love it. Oh, I just love it.
But
That was
but
an experience, the Hawaii thing. Oh my god. Here I am, my own ex-husband, Ben Thomas, Buck's dad, he actually, that son of a bitch, he called me up and said, I just have to step in and say, you are far too rich to be sitting there digging up weeds and cleaning up turds when you're 71 years old and as rich as you are.
is he wrong?
It dawned on me. I was like, God, he's right. What am I
Yes,
doing?
you should be
I
writing.
cleaned it for 3 months. I was just cleaning turds and pulling weeds.
You could have had a first draft of a book in those 3 months.
I know, but you know when you're supposed to be writing, the worst
Yeah.
thing is to write. You got to do everything else. I'll do it after I pull out these 3,000 acres of weeds.
You know what Ayn Rand called it? She called it white tennis shoes because she sit down and write, she goes, "Oh shit, I better clean my sneakers." Yeah.
You know what I'm doing? Here's
What?
something exciting as far as writing. Did I tell you about going to New York?
No, please do. I was just
Oh
there
my God,
last
it's
week.
the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me in my whole career.
Y
I'm meeting my big
Oh, you
ass
told me that.
idol.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm meeting my big ass idol. I don't think I'll say her name till after, but she's 90 years old, a great writer, comedy. And I'm going to New York and we're going to have lunch. And I'm so excited because she doesn't meet nobody. And oh my God, it's going to be the height of my whole experience as a creative person. Just, oh, it's just so exciting. I met most of my idols, you know, that was one lucky thing.
But it's funny
But,
because when I was on the flight with you coming back from Timcast and you thought I was like humoring you, if you met Mae West, right, and she
oh, I
sat there
wish
talking
I
to you about how to make toast, you'd be on, it's just sitting there taking notes like, "Oh my god, Mae West is talking about, like, how to make toast." You wouldn't care. So, like, hearing you tell, like, Sue Menger stories, like, I'm sure Jake is probably sick of him at this point, like, he's rolling his eyes, but for me, I was just like, I was eating it up.
anything Sue Mengers ever told me is like so enshrined in my heart and mind, like you know, like if I saw God or something, because she was so brilliant. And I always, when I was sitting there with her, and we were smoking joints and watching the OJ trial, which is all we did for hours every day for I think it was years, and I was like, just so happy to be in her presence and
Yeah.
under her wing and just listening to her horrendous comments about hatred. It was, I felt transported to a whole new dimension.
But
So
that's what I
maybe
feel like
that,
when I talk to you.
well, I'm going to keep that in mind. I'll try
Yeah.
to be funnier.
You're
She was so funny. She tried to make me pee myself,
I
which she did all the time because she was so funny.
I love the idea that Roseanne needs to try to be funny. I told you before that you're pathologically funny because I had asked you about the time when you, after you were canceled with Valerie Jarrett, and you go on Sean Hannity for some reason as your comeback. Sean Hannity, okay, boomer, and
Because he was calling me all the time. Nobody was calling me, and he was calling me and saying prayers for me and helping me through. You don't know. I couldn't even walk.
oh no, I'm just surprised. Sean Hannity was the only one who wanted you on.
No, he would call me and pray with me at
Oh,
night
okay.
and say, "You're going to make it." He was a very nice man to
Oh, okay,
me.
that
So
makes sense.
then he asked me to go on his show, and
Okay, that makes sense.
so I did. But I didn't know he was going to hit me with the "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I thought he was going to be nice on there. But,
But
you know, people are different on TV than they are in real
there
life.
was the
But he
one
was
moment.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. There was that one moment where I show people where he asks you to talk to Valerie Jarrett, and you look at the camera and you go, "Miss Jarrett, this wasn't a racist tweet. This was political. Let's take this to have an opportunity to speak about these issues which divide us needlessly, and we can all come together. Oh, and also, your haircut's terrible. It doesn't do you any favors." And I asked you, and you're like, "I can't turn it off." You're like, "It wasn't. I wasn't even trying to be funny. I just can't turn it." Like even in that moment, you know what I mean? You just can't
I
stop.
know. I know that's why I always go too far because it just comes in. Like I was talking to I had Jim Brewer on
Yeah,
yesterday, who's a great he is so funny. He kills me. And he's just like you can't turn it off. It's a friggin' bacteria or a disease. Like all comics have it. You can't just turn it off. I mean, you can put it on slow boil and then walk around and do something else and live your life. But once you turn the flame up, you can't stop it. You might be even talking like last night. I realized, oh my God, I got to, you have to apologize the next day because you were just trying to be funny. And some people don't have any sense of humor and they resent funny.
yeah,
They
they
don't like
perceive it.
funny women. When I was a kid, everybody was like, "You got a mouth on you." That was my family. And they were Jews and they were like, so rude, so loud, so insulting and cutting and hilarious. But if I would tell the joke, it was like, that's not ladylike. That's how I get a slap in the mouth from my dad, like this. That's not ladylike. Well, I was funnier than all of them. I realize now, tragically. But I was. I
I
just was
know,
because
I
I
know.
watched them and they were hilarious and I just wanted to be like them but better and I was and then they punished me and that's what happened to me when I went to Hollywood. I was funnier and better than all of them and they just punished me. And then when I came back and had 28 million viewers as opposed to their paltry 3 million views of their horseshit woke bullshit of their baby blood drinking Democrat donor entertainment, I mean, when I came back and had the 28 million, they were like, we're not letting her out of this alive, especially when she refused to apologize to the penis bearers against the kids. She didn't even do that, the bitch. And then she has the gall to not want to suck up to Hillary Clinton, our goddess, our goddamn queen witch. She's got to go. The bitch has got to go. And I know they did it to me because I didn't suck up to the big boss bitch because I am the big boss bitch. I'm the one that got the Clintons elected. Let's not forget that. Let's go back in time, okay, people? Let's go back. Who had the number one sitcom at the time that said, it's time for a change in America, which got Clinton elected? Who said that but yours truly, okay? So Hillary Clinton can kiss my ass, you know what? And she's on her way out. And you know what they used to say when I came there to do the ABC? I'm really going off.
I love
When
it.
I did the ABC thing, when they go, oh, we got it, we're coming back, and we're doing an ABC. Oh, what do they do? Where all the press comes and harangues you with their libtard bullshit instead of asking you, what's it like to be back? They can never say that, but they're like, racist!
Yeah, yeah.
You love Trump, why you don't love Hillary? Why you don't love Hillary? Can't you see that she's a woman like you? Do you love her? But you're a racist and a sexist and a Zionist baby killer. That's what you are. Ow!
I thought of 2
But
other
I
possible oh,
said,
go ahead.
huh? But they said, how could you vote for a racist? How could you be for a racist Trump racist, Trump racist, racist, racist? And I simply stated, I didn't vote for Hillary because of what she did in Haiti, which is just coming out. They've tried to sit on that for all those years. Like they tried to sit on the Iran deal for all these years. The things I said all those years ago, I can't even get any goddamn respect for saying them first because they're hiding them. But I did say them first, and I'll have the last laugh when they do come out, and indeed they will come out because nothing can stop the big D class, and you know it's coming.
So, I thought of 2 other possible titles for a book.
What?
A
Racist
humorous one
bitch?
and then a serious one.
Okay,
Roseanne's Happy Endings
I like it.
or Finales, because you're talking about things ending,
Well,
and the cover could be like a TV that's, like, off or something like that, or the static.
I wanted to name my last book. I wanted to name Roseanarchy Kiss My Ass.
That would've been much better.
I know, but they said they wouldn't run it in Walmart, which they wouldn't do anything I do anyhow. They're not going to sell any of my shit anywhere. And so I changed it to Roseanarchy. But yeah, had it been Kiss My Ass, I would have probably liked that better because it is a Kiss My Ass book.
Yeah.
almost everything I do these days is kiss my ass
It's
because
great.
I'm always right. And imagine the horror and the burden of that, Mr. Michael Malice, to be always right and castigated the entire time that you're right. And then when it turns out you're right, nobody goes, God, you were right.
Why does it
Hell on earth.
why why does it bother you when I tell you truthfully that you are adorable?
Um,
Look at those cheeks, like, like, you have this, like, kid thing, like, this you have this, like, very childlike energy and, like, look, it's just very sweet. People don't realize you're, like, this little lady because before I met you, you think Roseanne, you think she's gonna be the size of the Empire State Building and, it's thunderstorms everywhere, and you walk in the room and you're like, "Oh, she's like a sweet little person. She's so cute."
well, because you probably look at me like old old ladies should be looked at.
I
God,
don't think
we're
of you as
we're
an
a
old.
wealth of resources in a kind of crippled and pea smelling old body, and it should be adorable to people.
Yeah, you got irritated. Is it just that you're always irritated, so you're always at a 3?
Yeah, got it. Of course, everybody irritates me. I don't go out there looking for it. It's just there. It's irritating, and they're dumbasses. And what are you supposed to do? Just let them be? I guess. I guess, but there's not enough psychiatric medicine in the world for me to just be able to ignore it. There just isn't.
Sometime in the early 80s, REO Speedwagon's airplane made an unannounced, middle of the night landing.
This is my friend Kyle MacLachlan, the star of Twin Peaks. And he's telling me about how he discovered a real-life Twin Peaks in rural North Carolina, not far from where he filmed Blue Velvet.
What was on the plane was copious amounts of drugs coming in from South America. Supposedly, Pablo Escobar went looking for other spots, quiet, out-of-the-way places to bring in his cocaine.
My name is Joshua Davis, and I'm an investigative reporter. Kyle and I talk all the time about the strange things we come across, but nothing was quite as strange as what we found in Varnamtown, North Carolina.
There's crooked cops, brother against brother. Everyone's got a story to tell, but does the truth even exist? Welcome to Varnamtown.
Varnamtown is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Let's get back to the show. One of the things that has been consistent in your career, no matter where you stood politically, is, and this really comes out in this book as well, and just talking to you and watching your show, your heart really bleeds for like the working poor. You clearly remember what it's like not having a pot to piss in, and even becoming super successful, you really still advocate for people like that and think about them politically first and foremost. How is it that you still, are in any sense in touch after being like Roseanne for like so long?
Well, I was Roseanne for a long time, and then when I got my first big old paycheck, boy, I went ape shit. I went and lived behind gates with guards and all that shit.
Yeah.
I had the maids. When I first got my money, I told somebody last night, I I went out and bought 16 dining room sets.
Oh,
And then bought an airplane hangar to put them in for storage. I don't do things like normal people, but uh, it's crazy. But then when I start hanging out with the rich people, I had a joke about it a while back. It was something like, well, I didn't like none of them.
right.
One thing, there wasn't anything I could relate to. I mean, I guess there was if I was going to talk about plastic surgery and makeup and parties and stuff. But, I always end up finding myself gravitating over to the kitchen to talk to the workers because they're funny and they get my jokes. And, so I moved from there, and just went and got me a farm. And in Hawaii, where I lived for 17 years, I live around working people, farmers, and working class Hawaiian people, which I have loved because it's just down to the roots, the roots of life. Uh, how do you cook that jackfruit. How do you cook that? The stuff that matters. I want to know how to make jackfruit. I don't really want to talk about plastic surgery right now, but it's just the real life things. And hey, what's your kids doing there? And what beach is the best? Just human things. I like human things, and I like humans that don't think they're the be all and end all and the authoritarian fascists that know
Yeah.
what's best for everybody. I just like humans that do the work that keeps the real world running and take care of their kids and take care of other people's kids on top of it because it needs to be done. That's what I like about working people. And the other people, they have none of it. It's like, oh, they lost all their money. Too bad. They'll have to go back to one of those flyover states. They never think, well, we'll have them move in with us. It's not the same. It's just not the same. It's not the same kind of people or nothing. And I'm not saying it's bad, but it's more comfortable for me because I had 32 years of being poor and it baked into me. And I like it. I like to cook. I do like to clean. I like to sew and do all the things that people in the real world do. And when I got in that fake world of show business, I just had to get on a lot of medications because I didn't feel real anymore. So I guess that answers it.
Yeah. When I'm sure you can visualize, and we'll have the producer put up that picture of you on the cover of your first book, My Life as a Woman. You got that big smile and those kind of almost Asian looking eyes and those big cheeks. If you could go back and sorry to get all Barbara Walters, but I'm very curious. If you could go
Be a
back and
tree? What tree would I be?
no, if you could go back and if you could go back in time and talk to her, like what advice would you give that young woman?
Oh my God. Oh
Right?
my God, there'd be so much.
What
Well,
did
I'd
she
tell her, I'd tell her first of all, don't get a divorce from your first husband.
Okay. Oh,
I'd
wow.
say that, but then I wouldn't have my fifth baby, who's 28 now. So I can't really say that because I like to have 5 kids. A lot of people don't know I have 5 children. I used to be kind of pro life.
That's a 4.
That's an 8.
How's it feel? How's it feel, Roseanne Barr? I'm not scared of
All
you
right.
anymore.
All right. But okay, point given. But so I can't say that. But if I could figure out how to get him out of that, that'd be cool. But yeah, I should never got a divorce. I should never have started thinking, I got to get a divorce, and it's so Hollywood. I fell for it. He didn't kiss my ass enough. And, I just started thinking I really needed to get my ass kissed. Of course, when you get famous and the people around you, they don't kiss your ass enough. That's one problem. But when they try to bite at your ass every step, then you're like, I've had enough. I got to move on because they're mad at you for making it.
Yeah,
And that was a lot
because
of
they
it too.
haven't.
So I was trapped there. It's like half of it was more than half of my family was angry at me for being successful. It's funny, and I should write about that too, because my younger sister, who's dead now, uh, but she told me that she blamed me for all the problems in her life, including losing a baby,
Oh my God, it's
because I
awful.
was rich and she wasn't. And I heard stuff like that from my family all the time. So I was like, okay, time for me to rise, leave, do something new. And
But
then I
Roseanne, let,
walked
let me
from the
let me
frying
interrupt.
pan
Like
to the
if
fire.
you put that in a book, you could help so many people because families have their own logic, right? And then when you get married or you have a relationship, you're like, oh, this isn't normal. This is just the context I was raised. So
Yeah,
if you wrote about that and talked about, you're Roseanne, people think, okay, you're invincible, and you're not invincible. You're a person. And for your younger sister to say that, I mean, I can't imagine how hurtful that
after
was.
I after I saved her. But
Yeah.
you know what? Here's what it is for my whole life. I was always the symptom bearer in my family.
Okay. What do you mean?
Everybody that knows about dysfunctional families knows that there's one that acts out because they're the symptom bearer of a sick family that has secrets.
Okay.
the symptom bearer, and everybody goes, "Oh, here she goes again." Perfectly
The scapegoat.
We'd have a volatile, wonderful
Yeah, yeah,
family if she
yeah,
went acting out all the time. So
yeah.
I was always that. And when I went to Hollywood on my own show and did all the work and came up with all the ideas and corrected all their sexist, racist horseshit that they turned in every week and called a script, and I sat up all night rewriting it myself to make it humane and progressive. Um, uh, they blame me for that too. Um, and then it was like, wow, this is just being a Jew, kind of in a way. When no matter what you do, you're wrong, and you're either too rich, too poor, too this, too that, too left, too right, whatever. You're just always to blame. You are the scapegoat. You are the symptom bearer. You are the virtual canary in the coal mine. And I just accepted it because I had to. I had
Yeah.
no way out. And also because it seemed like it went so in league with Torah, because Torah says that that's what we are and that's what we're here to do. And despite all of the friction and resistance, we're still here to spread the Torah, which is the tale of a people who still, although wandering in the desert and having lost and won and battle after battle, still are in pursuit of just law.
Is it fit? Okay, this is a kind of a humorous question, but I'm very excited to hear your answer. Is it accurate to say that Roseanne Connor was a Yenta?
Oh, the best of them. Well,
Okay.
so am I, though. I mean, I yeah, because I am too, and my grandmothers were my mother not so much. My grandmothers would just sit there next to the phone, waiting for somebody to do something, to call each other, to complain about it. And also correcting everybody was
Yeah.
a big part of their lives. A lot of time they were right, but these were two women that couldn't wear shoes because their feet were so damn swollen and fat. But they knew what was wrong with everybody else, and it was just hilarious to watch it. I was I grew up in a sitcom. It was
Yeah.
people from another land, Lithuania and Ukraine, like we talk about, and Russia and all those other places. They used to call it Austro-Hungary, they called it. But living in America. And so actually, sometimes I think the Roseanne show is like a second or third generation Jewish story, but nobody sees it but me. But it is because a lot of us intermarried and we became Americans, and that's what that show was about, the strength of Americans who have every problem you can name, but they still know that unconditional love is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing matters more than money or any other thing. Matters
And
more than what you
and
think.
and I think it also speaks to the very it's not uniquely, but very Jewish idea of having that strong woman running the household, and having everyone kinda scared of her, but
No shit.
yeah, she knows what's up, like that kind of I don't know if it's matriarchal because Dan and, John Goodman certainly was no spring chick or pushover in the
Yeah,
show, but, she was running that house and she was keeping it together with not that many resources.
I know. Well, all ethnic families and
Yeah,
probably
Italian as well,
non-ethnic.
Irish, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is, and it's probably that way in all families, period. But the man's never a big pushover like TV likes to say. There's that, but he's always like, "That's her, that's her Ken, and not this is mine. I do this. I do the garbage. I do
Yeah, he's got his garage.
I do the yard. I go to work. I work 10 more hours and then I come home and oversee. I'm the shepherd. So we had our things and I liked that. It was good in my family when it worked that way. It was good. When it didn't work that way, it all went to hell. But all the men in my family, um, they all died before their wives. And you remember that saying, because they wanted to.
Okay, that's a 10. I was also angry on your I get angry on your behalf a lot, which I'm embarrassed to say, but it's true. Because I just read Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey's book, The Office. They're from The Office, and it's all very, oh, it was so great, everything's so fun. And to get to the part about all the great guest stars, then they don't mention you, and you knew that. I know for a damn fact. I don't even have to ask you. When you showed up on that set, they were pissing their pants like, "Holy shit, Roseanne's here," and they don't mention. Why are you making that face?
I don't remember any women being in the episodes I was in.
Yeah, but you're still on the set. I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah, for
yeah,
4 shows.
yeah. If Roseanne's there, they're freaking out. It's like, holy crap, Roseanne's there. You know what I mean? So I was just sitting there. I'm
They
like,
were
God
very
damn it.
nice to me when I did that
I'm
show, and
sure.
they let me ad lib, and they said they liked it. But I mean, the thing about Hollywood, and specifically why Sarah Gilbert did what she did, is because it's all about destroying women. And if a woman can destroy an older, more accomplished woman than herself, that step steps her up a notch there.
Oh yeah, it's kind of this. Yeah, right. You take out the head witch, and then you become the head witch, kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Or
Does it? When's
it
the
is
last?
very anti-Semitic too.
How
And
so?
well, I mean, they hate Jews. They hate Jews that pray and practice Judaism.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I
they
see what you
like
mean.
Jews
Yes.
that
Yeah.
like Hamas. They like them kind of Jews.
Right. Yeah, it's what Roseanne's talking about is the distinction between these kind of secular people who are ostensibly Jewish, who are Jewish, there's no question, and people who like take it seriously and view it as an ethos and who try to live a spiritual,
Well,
a
I
faithful life.
think it's a lot like, when you say they don't have the Jewish mother in the home, that's really what it is. We're not allowed to say that because it's too real. But a lot of those Jewish guys that married Gentile women had children with them, and they're not just Gentile women, they're full blown fucking Nazis from Germany. And they had kids with them. And I saw it because I was there. And they'd be like, oh, look at to their kids. They're like, oh, he's getting a nose job in 5 years because they look Jewish. And they're complete Jew haters. And they raised the kids going, well, they'd say to me, even if they converted to Judaism, which was always interesting. And sometimes I could learn stuff from it because they would be really good students. But they saw it as a license, like a lot of white women that marry black men. They think they've got the license then to say the N
Oh
word,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So they thought they had the license to go. The Zionists are baby kid, the Palestine, all that horse shit. And that was what they would always say to me. And it's like, no wonder your kids are grow up and don't believe nothing, don't pray, don't practice Judaism. And you taught them that. And then the men are like, I don't know why my kids, they all come crying to me. Well, you know, if you don't have a Jewish mother in the home, you don't have a Jewish home. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Do I have your permission to bug you about doing another book intermittently?
You have my great blessings and thank yous for saying that to me because it went in deep. And I just love you so much. You don't even know how much I love you. You're
Oh,
a little Jewish elf, and I just love you. And anything you say to me, you say in the greatest way that I can hear it. I'm never like that stupid fucking idiot like I am with everyone else. I'm always like, oh, he is so sweet and he's smart, and you're always on my side, and I just love you. And I thank you so much for saying that, as I really have been thinking of it lately. And I really
I
want to
think
pick your brain so you can help me
I
come
will.
up
I'll do it for free.
with.
I'll wrangle you, and because I want it selfishly. I want to be able to have this as a resource for when I have a difficult situation that I could be like, okay, this is what she did, and she's, you were more famous than I'm ever going to be because it's not even possible to be that level of fame anymore. And also, I think when women are
I'll give
power,
you a clue of what I did because looking
sure,
back for you and everybody, when you feel the heat rising in your spine,
yeah.
stop and resume slow breath.
Well, you know what?
That really helps.
I'm Russian. I don't raise my voice. I'm cold. And when
Mm.
people are in the control of their emotions, it's always counterproductive. Calm down. Someone's trying to goad you into fucking up. You can wait 5 seconds before saying the next thing or meeting them in their rage, and it's if they're trying to come at you and you're calm, they're gonna get even crazier if you're just standing there smirking. I know this from experience, it served me very, very well. Folks, head over to malice.locals.com where Roseanne took questions exclusively from supporters. It's funny when we were on Timcast together and some of the comments were like, "Oh, I can't believe he's talking to her like that," and it's just like, this is how we express affection, and it's the idea that Roseanne Barr, who's one of the great comedians of all time, doesn't understand when something's a joke is so, I thought, ridiculous to me. But then it also speaks to like there's a huge percentage of population that literally can't perceive humor. Scott Adams, who's been on both of our shows, I think he puts like 30%. Like if they see me making a joke about like your weight, even though you're not fat anymore, in their head, it's just like going up to someone in the street and calling the lady you're a fat lady, which is horrific. But it's like, this is Roseanne. Like, do you not understand? Like she's a comedic deity.
I know. Well, people just don't like humor. Like I was saying, when I was a little girl and you were funny, that was like kind of an insult. You were insulting men. I remember that in my family because my uncle would insult my grandmother. He's eating her soup and he's like, "Boy, this tastes like something a greenhorn makes. Look at all the grease on top of this soup." And I was only like 4 or 5 or something. I go, "Well, then how come you eat 4 bowls of it, you fat ass?" And then it was like, "You better be quiet. You're disrespecting the men in this family." That was how it always was, you know.
But
But
it's
I was
okay for them
funnier
to
than them.
disrespect the woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And the women was the one saying it to me. But I'd be like,
Yeah.
how come he's okay to call you a greenhorn, which meant, immigrant, and you just laugh at that. And he's saying you got too much grease in your soup, which you did. I mean, the chicken fat, it was when it was in the fridge,
God.
it was hard. It had a crust of that much fat. But anyway, she'd take that out and put it on a bagel, with salt, like butter.
Yeah,
But it was delicious.
I'm sure.
But anyway, it was like, no, we don't make jokes about the men. We let them make jokes about us. And I never liked that. And
Yeah.
so it was like, you're a loudmouth, fat little, you know, they never liked it. And when I started stand up comedy, your other thing, they didn't like it then either. It was like, they told me, "Well, you're not going to be able to play here at the club because a lot of women," they said, "a lot of women are offended by the things you say." So I had to start going to biker bars to tell my jokes. But I did it. I had to go to biker bars, jazz clubs, and punk bars. Sometimes I'd be telling my jokes in the middle of a mosh pit screaming. That's why I'm loud. But I learned and I didn't let them stop me. And I'm never going to let them stop me till I stop them. And I will.
Roseanne, we're running out of time. What
Well,
has
I
been
love
your what has been your favorite I love you too. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
me, of course. I love me, love to listen to me. I'm always just so amazed and surprised at the things I come up with off the top of my head. No, actually, just speaking to you is always a blast. You're a great thinker, great writer, great podcaster, great friend. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.
Pluto TV has over 300 channels and thousands of TV shows and movies for whatever mood you're in. Just open the app and something good will already be playing because it's curated by people who love TV as much as you do. So if you're in the mood for comedy, there's 18 channels that'll make you laugh. Looking for drama? We got so much of it, you'll cry tears of joy. Reality shows, game shows, sports, Star Trek, and even more Star Trek. No matter what mood you're in, there's something on Pluto TV. Just download the app and start streaming. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.